What's going on, everybody? It's your favorite dating coach, Elliot Scott, and as you can see by the title below, we're going to talk about power dynamics, specifically why men feel like they have you, how to knock them down a notch, and kind of balance it out again, okay? So if you're someone who feels like a guy has you, you came off too needy, clingy, he's taking you for granted, this video is going to tell you how you got in that situation and kind of how to balance it out, okay? So jumping right into it. Here is what I would say is the normal progression of a relationship. You guys meet, okay, whether it's on a dating app, whether it's through a friend, whether it's at a bar, whatever, work, coworkers, right? You meet and you talk a bit and you frame what this is. So what are you looking for type of thing, okay? I tell my clients a lot of the times, on dating apps, before you even meet the guy, ask him what he's looking for. You want to frame this as, oh, cool, we're both looking for the same thing. Great, we're not wasting each other's time, right? Doesn't mean you have to commit to each other, but at least you're looking for the same thing, okay? And then you move to being courted. The woman should be courted by the man, meaning he is investing his resources consistently over time, energy, effort, money, stuff like that. Then eventually, we all got some needs. I know you like each other. You want to take your relationship to the next level. You guys hang out, have fun, hook up. Okay. Then, you're getting courted a little more. It turns into a relationship, and then it's consistent sex within a relationship. Now, to get real boring on you real fast, but I do think it's really important. The reason this is the way it is from an evolutionary thing called the sexual strategy of the sexes, okay? And what this essentially means in a nutshell is because a man and woman have different physiologies, we cannot have the same sexual strategy. A woman cannot go around and spread a seed like a man can. She does, she becomes pregnant. Well, she can't spread a seed. You know what I'm saying? Like she goes around, and hooks up with a bunch of guys from an evolutionary perspective. Yes, we could do that now with condoms, protection, contraception, all that, but the brain still works the same way, okay? So it's no different. But back then, if a woman were to take on a man's strategy, which is to spread a seed, again, she will get pregnant, and when she is pregnant, her risk of survival, when the goal of the organism is to survive and reproduce, okay, you got the reproduction part, but you're at a high risk of picking a shitty guy or a guy who, you didn't filter correctly. So now you're more vulnerable to predators, you become prey, you're ostracized by other men, there's health concerns that can, develop with pregnancy, especially back then. You need nutrients and resources to feed both you and the child now, right? Can it happen? Or can you survive? Yes. Just the odds dramatically drop, especially when the mortality rate or infant mortality rate was pretty high back then. So to prevent this from happening, women came up with a strategy. Hey, I'm not opening my legs for just anybody. You got to prove yourself. You got to, again, what we call today, court me. Give me your time, energy, effort, basically resources. And by the way, you have to do better and outbid these other guys, okay? Now, that sounds like common sense. You know all that. The problem is, when we're going through this process, somewhere along the way, you stop doing this, and or you don't slow it down when it's your time to shine, when you have the power. So I outlined this with a pinkish red to demonstrate where the woman has power, and I outlined it blue over here where men have the power. And I made a video on this talking or regarding this before, so bear with me. But a lot of the times when a woman's getting courted, she gets courted, she has a guy who's like semi-consistent, doing all these things. Even if he's consistent, I always tell women, you got to be very wary and take everything with a grain of salt for the first 4 or 5 weeks, because even emotionally unavailable people or men do not surface. It lays dormant if it's there. If it's there, it's dormant. And it doesn't surface until like the 4th or 5th week, where context builds up and he gets in his head and he's like, oh shit, like what am I doing? I bit off more than I could chew, or I said and done things I shouldn't have done. This is too fast, even though I'm the one who increased the speed and pace. I'm freaking out in my head, and he pulls away. So if there's anything you can get out of this video, don't mess around, or don't take everything with a grain of salt that a guy does the 4th or 5th week, okay? So with that being said, you obviously want to avoid risk, so you want to slow it down. A woman has a lot of power when you guys frame it as a relationship, essentially meaning, hey, I agree to court you, and then he starts courting you. You want to slow this down, meaning if he's trying to speed it up, which he's going to do because he does not have the power here. So he wants to speed it up while you want to slow it down, meaning getting to know each other. You don't have to see him all the time. If he starts saying shit like, future planning, love bombing, or my mom will love you, it's like, bro, like chill. Like, again, play around with it, like kind of like jab him with some, I don't know, fucking zingers, one-liners, just something. Have something a can opener when guys say that type of shit to slow them down, to check them pretty much, because guys are going to want to, I call it IOIs, indicators of interest. Guys are going to want to see how you act and react to those, whether it's positive or negative, to those things. Because the better you are, well, he's pushing it, it's leading closer to that. So you need to slow this down. He's going to speed it up. However, you do need to eventually transition power. Power cannot be held by one person forever. That's what we call a one-sided relationship. If you want to know how to do all that correctly, I have guides down below. Just click the link and you can get them. I have 9 guides for the price of one. Again, it goes into a lot more detail on this. I literally have a guide on power dynamics. It goes into a lot more detail on this, okay? So eventually, you're going to have to give up some power. I'm not saying it's through sex, but something, okay? You're going to have to give, whether it's giving a guy validation, whether it is something physical, whether it's telling him you like him and being vulnerable. You have to do it eventually. It's one-sided if you don't. And when you do, okay, now he gets power. So make sure when you do it, ladies, that you trust this guy is not going to take advantage of the power you are about to give him. Because if you do, because if you don't, guess what? He's going to slow it down because now he has power. He's going to slow it down and you're going to want to speed it up, meaning, okay, hey, we've been talking for a while now. We're hooking up, but you're acting a little different. Again, you're wondering what's going on and you're wanting to speed it up over here, which is the natural progression of things, of course. However, as the title of the video, how to knock a guy down a notch, or how to, I guess, kind of balance this out. If he's slowing it down and you're speeding it up and he's starting to be sporadic, he's changing, he's inconsistent, right? You don't actually want to do this. You don't want to do that because what happens is the more you do this, right? Like I said, you're giving guys validation. You're hooking up with the guy. You're hoping that things are going to change. He has a lot of power now. He's just sitting here and it's just churning, and he's just gathering it all up, okay? He's just gathering all this power up through what I call the evidence, right? The brain's very evidence-based. Everything you're doing is trying to push it to this because you really like him, which ironically, is what actually slows it down. He feels like, well, if things are going well for the most part, like, yeah, I mean, I'm not jumping into this, but a guy can make some bullshit excuse. I just want to get to know you better, whatever it is. And he's not jumping to this, but you're sticking around and you're trying all these things to get him to do it. Well, what's the point of him committing? You're showing you're not going anywhere. You're not going anywhere, okay? So instead of trying to do this, now what you do is I don't want to say cut off sex, but you have to go back up to the courtship. Because what ends up happening is, I guess up here, it's like 80-20, okay? Meaning, a guy's doing 80%. This isn't an exact number, but a guy's doing 80% of it. You're doing the other 20%. He's proving himself, and like I said, you're slowing it down. You're just reaping the benefits. But then when it gets down here, it kind of changes to 50-50. But the longer this goes, it ends up being 20-80, like 20% him, 80% you doing the work, like wondering what's going on. So instead now you want to, I hate to say using sex as a bargaining chip because that's not what it is, but that's what it's going to seem like, which is, okay, bro, like you're not ready to move here. if that's the case, I'm not just going to give this to anybody. So we got to go back here. Okay. And I'm not saying cut sex off. I'm not saying take it off the table, but he does have to court you 80-20 again, for him to, at least for you guys to get back down here. Because again, don't think of it as sex. Think of it as trust. Replace the word with trust. Like, you guys aren't allowed to move forward unless he gains your trust, okay? You're not allowed to give him the sugar walls, the goodies, if he does not regain your trust. By you going this way to begin with, like the original path, right? You trusted him. He fumbled the ball. He screwed up, right? You know that because they're right here. Well, it's like, okay, cool. We don't have to go here, bro. Like, we'll block this off. Sure. We don't have to go here. But we're not stopping here. We're not stopping here. We're going back to this, right? So, to where it's beneficial for both people now. It's like, you can still get this, but bro, you got to step up. Like, you got to double up. You got to do what you got to do. And then, of course, like I always tell people, around 8 weeks, 9 weeks at most, 8 weeks, don't go 9. 8 weeks, you got to have the talk. If he's not ready to do this, well, then you're cutting that off. That's getting cut off. That's getting cut off. Okay, and then he has to prove himself, okay? Pretty much, he has to prove himself. So you pull away. Again, if you want more information on that, I have a guide on no contact. That's down below. And then when that happens, you start back here and you go through the whole process again, okay? That's how you knock a guy down a notch off that pedestal you have him on. There's nothing wrong with putting out. A guy has to earn it, though. And just because you like him a lot and stuff like that, right? If it's not going this way, if he slows it down way too much, well, then you have to backtrack to here, okay? Because if you just stick here, there's no reason for him to commit to you. You're not going anywhere. You're just sitting around being hopeful, which is not good, okay? So, ladies, if you want to work with yours truly, link down below. I'll help you with your session, 1 hour long, or help you with your situation, 1 hour session, private, you and me, deep dive, okay? If you want my guides, links down below. Ladies, I love you all. Take care and peace.